Welcome to the Look and Sound of Leadership, an ongoing series of executive coaching tips designed to help you be perceived in the workplace the way you want to be perceived. I'm Tom Henschel, your executive coach, and today we're talking about how to own healthy assertion. Cindy hated that her story still had the power to make her cry. She hated the feelings the story stirred up in her: embarrassment, powerlessness, rage, and the fuel for her tears, shame. Cindy still had shame about what she had done. Many years before, she reported to a leader who was verbally abusive. The behavior was known and tolerated. The people who worked for him were constantly fearful. Many left. The ones that stayed suffered. One day, when the leader's eye to humiliate once again turned to Cindy, she snapped. She yelled back. She hurled insult for insult. She cursed him. Finally, she stormed out of the room yelling, "Fire me! Please, somebody, fire me!" But she wasn't fired. She wasn't even disciplined. The world of work just went on turning. In hallways and bathrooms, people quietly celebrated Cindy's bravery, but Cindy didn't feel brave. She felt ashamed. Now, pushing back her tears, she said to me quietly, "What does it say about me that I snapped like that? I clearly lost control. I lost my mind. How can that be good for me?" "How do you mean?" I asked. She gave a sigh. "Look, Tom, growing up with my mom, I learned to just suck up whatever came my way, but every now and then I'd snap with her too. It never went well. I think I snap because I'm either completely passive or I explode like a bomb. I don't have any middle ground. I'd like some help with that." I said, "You'd like to be between passive and explosive, right?" "Right," she agreed. "You want to be assertive," I said. "So great, let's see what we can do. Can I start by making a guess about something?" "Sure," she said. "I'm guessing you've thought a lot about being passive and being explosive. Am I right?" "Yeah," she said. "I think about it because I don't like either extreme. Being passive makes me mad at myself, and being explosive, well, it's just not right. I'd be happy if I never did it again." I said, "Well, you may be closer than you think. When I talk about assertion, I focus on two steps in the beginning: awareness and expression. And it seems you're doing pretty well on awareness, so maybe you're closer than you think." She laughed. "You mean knowing that most of the time I'm a doormat, but every now and then the pin comes out of my hand grenade, that actually counts for something?" "Actually, yes," I said. "It's awareness. Awareness counts, because until you knew your triggers and knew your feelings, you couldn't be assertive." "Why not?" she asked. "Your triggers and feelings showed you your patterns. And when you saw your patterns, you saw where you want some boundaries. You want to be able to speak from that middle ground. That's a boundary. Boundaries allow you to be assertive. You can't be assertive without boundaries." She gave a rueful snort. Boundaries. Boundaries were not allowed in the house I grew up in. You had no privacy, no rights, no feelings that mattered. These days, when I think about boundaries, I get all frozen up. I'm not sure I'd know a good boundary from a bad one. I agreed. So many people struggle with boundaries. Can I give you a way to think about it? "Yeah, sure," she said. I said, "A boundary defines where you end and where everyone else begins. What do you consider yours? Your feelings, are they yours? Your opinions, are they yours? What do you allow? Disrespect, abuse? Whatever you answer, that's your boundary. That's where you end and the other person begins." I don't know if that helps. She paused before saying, "You talked about, are those feelings mine? That really resonates with me." She said, "This is all about building awareness, isn't it?" I nodded. "Patterns, triggers, feelings? Absolutely. It's all about awareness." She asked, "Well, suppose I wanted to build my awareness. Where would you send me?" Well, there are lots of ways to do it, I said. You could reflect on your patterns, and then you could journal about it or make a mood board. Another thing you could do is make sure you and I talk about it in every session. That'd build your awareness. She nodded. I might do some journaling. That would be okay with me. I said, I also have some assessments I could send you. That's their whole purpose, right? To raise awareness. What do they assess? She asked. Your responses when there's conflict. Are you passive, aggressive, assertive? I think we already know the profile, she said. Mostly passive with sprinklings of aggression. I smiled and shrugged. The assessments may not be news. They're just building awareness. Well, send them along for sure. Yeah, thanks, she said. And then, let's suppose I want to tell someone that my feelings are mine, but I don't want to explode. How does that happen? I said, well, that's the second step I mentioned, expression. Oh, good, she said. Do you have, scripts I could follow? Those are really helpful for me. I do, I said. But before we get there, I want to put a frame around the whole idea of expression. So you don't want to be passive and you don't want to be aggressive. You want to be assertive. You do that by expressing yourself fairly. Be fair. Express concern for both parties' needs. Don't only express concern for their needs and ignore your own. That would be being passive, right? She interjected. Right. And I said, don't only express concern about your needs and ignore theirs. She said, that'd be aggressive. Right, I said. Fairness is the frame I want to put around expression. Be fair in everything you express. She said, I would never have thought of ignoring someone's needs as being aggressive, but it's true. Ignoring someone else's needs is totally aggressive, isn't it? It's like you're making them invisible. Huh. Okay. So it's the Goldilocks balance. I want to be right in the middle, balance their needs and mine along with them. Because I said, each person's needs are valid and important. And one way you can express that, you may have heard of this, is I statements. Can I do a quick drill down on I statements? Oh, yeah, please. It's a script, right? I love scripts. I smiled, saying, I statements are assertive because they set boundaries and they're also non-combative. They're not challenges. So suppose I get upset about something that you're doing. I could say, Cindy, you have to stop doing that. It's a challenge, right? It's a command. It's certainly not an I statement. Or I could say, Cindy, I get so uncomfortable when you do that. Could you stop? I express my experience, which is valid and important, and I express my request, which is assertive but not combative. She nodded her head, thinking, so the script is to express my experience and express what I want, right? Right, I said, that would be a good I statement. She said, but that's not the script you were going to tell me, is it? Or is it? No, I said, the script I want to give you is different. This script helps build sentences, healthy, assertive sentences. It has 4 parts: situation, feelings, wants, outcomes. Are you ready for a demo? Do it, she said. Okay, so I'm going to demo situation, feelings, wants, outcomes. So I would say, when you're on your phone while I'm talking to you, that's the situation, the trigger, I feel totally rejected. That's feelings. I would appreciate you putting down your phone when we're talking. That's the want. That would really calm me down because right now I am really angry. And that's the outcome. So a script for being assertive is situation, feeling, wants, outcome. She asked, could you actually say all that all together so I can hear it? Do you even remember what you said? I do, actually. Yeah, here it is. When you're on the phone while I'm talking to you, I feel totally rejected. I'd appreciate you putting down your phone when we're talking. That would really calm me down because right now I am really angry. We were both silent. And then she said, "I'd like it if someone spoke to me that way." "Me too," I agreed. She asked, "And this is how you speak, like every day?" I try to. I know how to, let me put it that way. But no, I don't always do it, especially if I haven't sorted out my feelings yet. I have learned you can't be assertive if you can't name your feelings. Like in the demo, I named my anger. Owning my feeling, by definition, is assertive. So I figure out my feelings, I name them. And they're not always nice feelings, right? It might be jealousy or rage or whatever, but no matter what, I'm going to own it, I'm going to name it, but I will not act on it. No exploding, she said. And then she said, awareness and expression. I can work on those. And she did. She practiced awareness and expression in low-risk situations and found being assertive exhilarating. She uncovered a voice she barely knew she had. She liked it. It felt to her very much like the look and sound of leadership. Assertion is a journey, isn't it? I think we all exist on a continuum that has a passive victim voice at one extreme and an aggressive bully voice on the other extreme, and we are all somewhere on that continuum. When I talk about this with my clients, many of them want to move away from passive and move towards healthy assertion in the middle, and others want to move away from aggression and towards healthy assertion in the middle. No matter which side you're starting your journey from, I want to give you tools to make your road easier, and that's what this whole episode is about. In this part of the show, I'm going to give a tool in the awareness column, I'm going to give another tool in the expression column, and then I'm going to give some resources that have helped me on my journey. So first, in the awareness column. So this is something that got mentioned in passing during my conversation with Cindy. Fairness. I want to dig a little deeper into fairness because when I was on my own assertion journey, I could not always make the connection between assertion and fairness. Here's how I see it now. Whichever side of the continuum we live on, we don't want to jump to the other side. So passive people worry about being seen as a bully, and aggressive people worry about being seen as weak. So to be sure that they do not cross the line, they double down on their tendency to favor one side or the other. The bullies tend to favor their own side, and the passive people favor the bully's side too. However, being fair to both sides shifts the scale. Now the passive folks don't worry about being bullies because when they put their wants on the scale, they're just being fair. And bullies don't worry about being seen as weak because, in fact, what they're really being is fair. So how would you make sure that there's fairness in your assertion? Imagine a balancing scale. It has a midpoint, right, where both sides are in perfect balance with each other. When you are your most assertive, are you in perfect balance with equal expression for both parties? Most people aren't. So be aware of your inclination and then ask, could the balance be more fair? Could you honor both parties' needs equally, yours and theirs? I really believe that when you gain awareness about fairness, it will help you be more assertive. And fairness, by the way, does not mean that everybody gets everything they want. It does mean everything that everyone wants gets addressed. That's only fair, right? But it's not that everyone gets everything. So, as you gain awareness about your assertion skills, remember fairness. Which way do your scales tip? Okay, switching to an idea under the headline expression. So this is something you did not hear in my conversation with Cindy. It's a new idea for the episode. Emotional fluency. I want to begin talking about emotional fluency by saying that in my mind, there is an interdependence between assertion and emotional intelligence. So just to be clear, the skill I want to talk about is emotional fluency, but to start, I am talking about emotional intelligence, which is hierarchically higher up. Emotional intelligence is a core concept of the look and sound of leadership. Until you raise your emotional intelligence, you cannot achieve the look and sound of leadership. Emotional intelligence is interdependent with assertion because gaining mastery over your emotions allows you to choose to move away from the passive voice or to choose to move away from the aggressive voice. EQ, emotional intelligence, will make space for you to move towards healthy assertion. If you're curious about emotional intelligence, and I hope you are, we have a tool in our tools bin. It has exercises that will raise your EQ. The link is in the show notes, and there's an episode about it, episode 232, Unlocking Executive Presence Through Emotional Intelligence. The link is in the show notes. Another tool for building your emotional intelligence is emotional fluency. I finally landed the plane. We're going to talk about emotional fluency. Emotional fluency connects to assertion because it was number 2 in that 4-step script that I talked about with Cindy, right? The script went situation, feeling, want, outcome. Stating your feelings is assertive because it assumes you are going to own your feelings as your own. So you are not going to say, here's the situation and here's how you made me feel. No, because they didn't make you feel anything. They did something, and then you had a feeling, but the feeling is yours. The feeling is your boundary. The other person is not responsible for your feelings. You are, and that is what you are going to assert. You will assert that you have feelings in response to the situation. You will express that, and your communication will be so much healthier if you can gain some emotional fluency. So here's something I have observed for years and years. I think my job is to listen to people. I listen to people talk about their feelings. Most people, over the course of many months, have a pretty limited vocabulary for their feelings. They have maybe 5 or 6 go-to words, and then every now and then a bonus word will pop up. But for the most part, over months and months, they describe their emotions with the same words all the time, and I just don't think it's accurate. I think we have so many feelings inside of us. Learning to identify them, learning to distinguish your feelings is a way of honoring your feelings. And then it becomes easier to name them because they're not like vague shadows in the woods. They're right in front of you. They're crystal clear. I'm not mad. I'm confused. I'm not afraid. I'm nervous. I begin to see each emotion as distinct and unique and to be honored. That is healthy assertion, and you get it from emotional fluency. We have a feeling word grid. It's an easy way to become more emotionally fluent. I know a lot of you already have it. It's one of our top 3 downloads all the time. The link is in the show notes for the feeling word grid. Please help yourself. Next, I'm going to share more tools right after this month's gratitude. First, thanks to the folks who reach out to Explore Coaching. You all are so terrific. Whether you're from some multinational or a mom and pop shop, it's just great to talk with you. Thank you so much. Thanks to the folks who continue to sign up for the newsletter. You know, there are always tools in the newsletter that I don't have time to mention here, so I'm glad you're getting that material. Thanks for signing up. And as always, people who leave reviews, thank you. It is such a gift that you give. This month, thanks to, in the Philippines, Filipina Traveler, in Australia, Elkin, in the U.S., a listener, EJN4, who I happen to know is Ed Nottingham. Thanks, Ed. NDLA, CoreJam42, and my friend and colleague, Mary Cyphers. Mary, thanks. To all of you, thanks. Thank you so much for your support. I started this portion of the show by saying assertion is a journey, and that has really been true in my life. I used to suffer terribly as a people pleaser. There have been many tools that have helped me over the years. I want to talk about some of them. One is Dare to Lead. This is from the Brené Brown universe. She wrote this for leaders in the workplace. It is a book, it is a podcast, and it is a course. One way to become more assertive is to face the barriers that are in your way. Dare to Lead will help you with that. And if you want an amazing personal growth experience, take the course. Rachel Verlick, a coach, a wonderful coach and friend on our team who's in the DC area, she got trained by Brené Brown, and she delivers the course, and really, you will have a great experience. The link is in the show notes. Another tool that accelerated my journey is a book I know many of you have, Crucial Conversations. I keep coming back to this book because it's so friendly, it's so practical. If you think scripts are helpful, this book is going to be like a big smorgasbord for you. There is so much to choose from. Also, in our tools bin on the Essential Communications website, there are more than 40 free tools for you to download. I've mentioned 3 of them so far: the assertive assessments from this episode, the one on emotional intelligence, and the feeling word grid. There are more and more there. Please browse, please help yourself. And finally, there are a lot of episodes in our library. There's an entire category of episodes filed under assertiveness. It's a whole category. I know this is a thing. Please take a look. The link is in the show notes. 5 episodes that you might listen to are Holding Boundaries and How to Set Boundaries. Yes, boundaries are a big part of being assertive, right? How to Grow Your Self-Management, Intimacy in Business, Setting Boundaries, more about boundaries, and Psychological Safety. There are so many resources this month. They're all in the show notes for you. Please help yourself. All right, that's it for me. It is always a pleasure. Until next time, I'm Tom Henschel. Thanks so much for listening.